read to me the nameplate?
Judge Eboni K. Williams.
So the only thing that matters in this particular courtroom is how I see it. I am from North Carolina by way of Louisiana with some West Coast cool and a New York edge. Do we have a problem, ma'am?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Equal justice is all about the most important values of our country: freedom, integrity, and those are the things that I'm striving for. Ma'am, you run your household, this man gets to run his. I decided to become an attorney and pursue the law. I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. This court cannot hold this woman accountable. People from all sectors of life, black, white, purple, gay, straight, queer, and that's what equal justice with Judge Eboni K. Williams is all about.
Martinez claims the defendant convinced him to buy video equipment and promised him work, then abruptly shut down his streaming service. Vance says a spiritual awakening led him to take his life in a new direction.
Okay, gentlemen, see, I've got Martinez here as my plaintiff and Vance as my defendant. Mr. Martinez, I see you are suing Mr. Vance for $20,000. You claim there has been a breach of contract. Tell me what brings you to court today.
That is correct. My name is Martinez, and I am suing him for $20,000 based off of business promises that the defendant made to me that were then eliminated overnight when he decided to pull the plug on his whole operation and just leave me hanging.
Okay, talk to me a little bit, sir, about how you know this man.
Well, we go back to childhood, met each other when we were 6 years old. We grew up together, and about a year ago, he hit me up for a job offer as a full-time videographer for his very lucrative streaming channel, Dares.
Okay.
And I, at the time, had a very stable marketing job. I had stability, I had benefits. I had a very normal life. I was able to pay the bills, and it was going to take a lot of convincing for my fiancée, Kathy. I had to convince her that I know that there's all the stability in the job, but Xander is promising me that amount of money plus upside.
Okay.
And so I figured probably worth the risk.
Oh, I was going to say a risk worth taking.
Yeah.
So this is really, sounds like a childhood friend turned business collaborator.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. And where does it go wrong?
So it all went south on a trip to Peru. This was not a vacation. This was a content trip.
This was a work trip.
This is a work trip.
Okay. And you, if I'm understanding, you are the camera guy? You're in charge of so basically production?
Yeah, Cam with the Cam was my nickname.
Cam with the Cam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Got
I was in charge of videography and creative direction, a little bit of everything. I had to wear a lot of hats.
Sure.
And
you were the main piece of the production at some point, is that right, sir?
I was oftentimes the only piece of the production, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Continue.
So we make a trip to Peru, and it's going pretty well. And while we were there, Xander tells me, hey, we got to step up our game. We got to take this to the cinematic level, take it up to the next level. And in order to do that, he requested for me to purchase cinematic gear, $6,000 worth of gear to be exact.
Okay.
So I even texted him, are you sure about this? And he said, full send, bro. Trust the process.
What was the first thing? Full send?
Full send.
Okay.
And so I went ahead and made the purchase.
Sure.
And I figured, you know, this is...
How much was it?
$6,000.
And you have receipts for all of this?
I have
Please
receipts.
give your full evidence folder, please, to my bailiff. Yep, full thing.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I do see that this looks like $6,000 worth of cinematic drone kits and live mics and, you know, all the things that you need for production. I'm also seeing an exchange. I guess this is what you submitted for me to understand how we got to this agreement. I see the defendant here nodding. This looks like to be from you, Mr. Vance. You say, bro, you still at that boring marketing job. I'm kind of joking, but I know you're making good money, stable benefits, all that adulting. But listen, I need you, like for real, my channel is taking off. I need you as my right-hand man. So let's get to you, Mr. Vance. You do acknowledge that at some point you did request for this man to quit his job and come work for you.
That's correct, yes,
That's
as
correct.
a friend.
Well, this was to help your business, correct?
Correct, but I've known this man for 20 plus years and always considered him a very good friend.
I can get that, but also it's important that we keep the relationship that we're talking about is around a business relationship in this courtroom.
In a sense, but my life just kind of, in my life, the line between business and life just kind of blurs, so.
Well, see, that's a problem in the courtroom, though, sir, because we could talk about friendship and warm feelings all day, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to be tasked in this courtroom with making a ruling around $20,000. And that's no small sum. You would agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. So, you asked him to come work for you to help elevate your business. This is an easy yes or no question, sir. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. You say, because he says to you, I can't leave my job, it's boring, but it pays well, and you can't pay me that. So he indicates that you are not in a position to financially afford him. That's what your friend said to you. You say, if you leave, I can promise to pay you at least the $7,000 you're currently making a month, right? To be my director and cam guy, you'll have all the freedom you want, and we'll get to have fun like old times. So this is a job offer. That's how this court would construe this. You made him a job offer.
It was not written in as a contract,
Sir,
so I cannot say it was a job offer.
Sir, Mr. Vance, let me help you out. What you just stated, it was not that's a legal conclusion. And you don't get to make such rulings in this courtroom. I do.
Copy.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
I called him to see what happened.
And what did that man say to you?
Well, he didn't pick up the phone, and he texted me something like, "It's time to move on to the next stage of Nirvana, brother."
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Cam Martinez, who brought Xander Vance to court for breach of contract.
I will be the one to determine whether or not what I am reading constitutes a contract enforceable by law. And what I'm reading is you're saying, I can promise to pay you at least the $7,000 you are making a month to be my director and camera guy. Let me help you out. That's a rate, that's a promise, and that's a role. So then you reach out to him, Mr. Defendant. You say, I want to chat. Hey, dude, I think it's time to step up our production. Other creators are going crazy. People are going to invest. I found this guy who has the thing for $6,000. Full send, the fans will pay it off, trust the process. You say $6,000. If I do this, it really needs to be real. You say, let's go all in, and that's when you buy it. So did you use your money to pay for the $6,000?
Yes, that's correct. I used my money.
Okay. You say full send, bro. What does that mean?
It means go for whatever you think is best, and in this case, this is what he
That's what I
suggested.
thought you were going to say.
I did not make the conclusion that this was the best course of action.
So let me tell you where I have a problem with that.
Sure.
2 sentences down, when you say, let's go all in, bro, I don't know how else to construe that, sir, other than make the purchase. Yeah. All right, let's go a little further here. Do you make money from your content?
Yes.
Okay. And
Right.
you use that money to pay your bills?
I did, yes.
To pay your rent, pay
Yes.
your utilities, cell phone, groceries, things like that?
I did, yes.
Okay. I notice you're saying you did.
Right.
Why are you speaking in past tense?
Because I've let that side of my life behind me. I no longer pursue this kind of monopoly of content that I did before.
You've had a change of spiritual heart?
I have, yes.
Okay,
yes.
talk to me about what led to that.
Now, so that's kind of the entire reason we're here. So I went with my good friend Cam here to film in Peru, and we went through this retreat, and I was going to be filmed, but I consume like this medicinal plant. I don't really know.
So you took
ayahuasca.
That's what I thought we were
ayahuasca
going with.
ceremony.
So you took some substances,
Well, yes.
okay, and that allowed you to have a spiritual experience.
Well, an experience that, in a sense, kind of awakened me to the fact that I didn't need this whole brand and this whole social media personality
Mr. Vance,
that I had
the court
before.
celebrates that on your behalf. But I'm getting back to this was a work trip. This man is here for pay. You went to make money in content. That's fine. You had an experience that says you want to go in a different direction for yourself.
Sure, yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Correct. So when did you construe to this man that you wanted to go into a different line of work?
So the morning after, I just made this decision that I no longer wanted to pursue
And you
this
communicated that to him?
life. Oh, he knows this.
No, it's
He
not
knows
about what he
this.
knew, sir.
We've-
Did you communicate it to him?
I did communicate.
Did he communicate it to you?
It was communicated to me that he wanted a spiritual experience, and it was sort of a spontaneous decision to take this ayahuasca ceremony. I just didn't think that it would result in him pulling the plug on the whole channel and deleting.
But did he tell you at some point, I had the experience, I had the awakening, I no longer want to work in this space, it's over?
He told me, I found out over a tweet.
Social media?
Yes, over social media.
What did it say?
It said, I'm quitting chaos streaming and I'm taking a sabbatical. And I tried calling him. I got lots of his fans calling me, asking what happened, and I didn't know what happened. So I called him to see what happened.
And what did that man say to you?
Well, he didn't pick up the phone, and he texted me something like, it's time to move on to the next stage of nirvana, brother.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
And
so at this point, you realize you no longer have a job.
At that point, yeah, I realized to me, that's not a business termination. It's not a termination of contract. That is a whimsical decision. That is somebody breaking their promise and leaving me hanging with all of this debt.
There was never a
and with-
contract.
Okay. I've already
was a
told
ver-
you, Mr. Vance, you don't get to decide whether or not a contract was at play here. I do.
Right.
And I'm still getting the information I need to make this
Yeah.
decision, although I am getting closer. Let me ask you this, Mr. Martinez. How many months did you get the $7,000 that he promised you?
So the pay wasn't always fully consistent, but it did amount to roughly $7,000 a month, if not more. And this is for a year,
So for 1 year,
for 1 year.
you did get
Yes.
promised $7,000 a month.
Yes, for a year.
And let me ask you, your boring marketing job that was very stable, that you reluctantly but did ultimately quit to take on this work, how long were you at that job, sir?
About 5 years.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
Well, Your Honor, it was always based around friendship, I will say.
It was a business
We're
It
back
was
here?
always a
We're back.
business
friendship
arrangement.
decision.
It was a business. It was we were friends,
All
but that's
all
not relevant.
Gentlemen, thank you both.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Cam Martinez, who brought Xander Vance to court for breach of contract.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Vance. Any consideration or explanation that you want to share with this court about what your new trajectory meant for the man that you essentially begged to leave his boring, stable, adult marketing job to come work for you?
Well, it was a personal decision that I made for my own life. And
That wasn't my question. That's very clear. What, if anything, do you have to offer this court about what that decision meant for this man?
well, Your Honor, it was always based around friendship, I will say.
It was a business.
We're
It
back
was
here?
always
We're
a
back.
business
friendship
arrangement.
decision.
It was a business. It was we were friends,
right,
but that's
all
not
right.
relevant.
Gentlemen, thank you both.
Sorry.
I
Thank
do
you.
believe I'm prepared to make a ruling here. Before I do, I have one final question for you, sir. The $6,000 I'm clear on, that's what you spent on the video equipment. You never got this back?
No, I purchased the equipment with the belief that it would be recouped through the revenue that he promised me. Again, more broken promises.
Yeah. And that never happened?
That never happened, yes.
Okay.
So literally days later,
Okay.
ayahuasca ceremony, spiritual awakening, he deletes the channel. No more money. He demonetizes all the old videos. It's all
Okay.
gone.
Okay, and you're asking for, in addition to the $6,000 that you spent out of pocket, I guess another $14,000 for 2 months of service?
Correct. That I was promised.
I'm just curious as to where you're coming up with the 2 months.
So that would have been up into the 2-month period. I hadn't yet been paid for those 2 months.
Oh, so you
I've been
did
paid.
work, you worked them. You just
I did
weren't
work
paid for
them, yes.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
There is a reason why all of our mamas and papas told us not to really do a lot of business with friends, and we're all seeing it play out here in this courtroom today.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Cam Martinez, who brought Xander Vance to court for breach of contract.
Did he work the 2 months, sir?
He was present.
I was
around,
working.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
filming
He
everything.
was
I
around.
was
We were
booking,
hanging
scouting.
out, so
Okay, that's a yes. Thank you, sir.
We were hanging out, honestly.
Sir, I got what I need.
It was a
Thank
Just
you.
hanging out, yeah.
Gentlemen,
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm prepared to make a ruling on this one.
Okay.
I take it that you two are no longer friends?
I would disagree, but
You think that's still your friend?
I do.
I
yes.
think I would say
I
this.
think I might need to go into aqua.
I
would
feel,
say this
I
is a-
feel that my friend
retreat.
did not
This is a huge barrier to our friendship at the
Exactly.
least.
I
Okay.
feel
Especially
that
if-
forgiveness is a very powerful tool in friendship.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and rule here. Mr. Martinez, I'm going to caution you in the future, before you take such a risk, financial risk, that will not only impact you, but you also mentioned a fiance, so now we're talking about you and your family. I would recommend in the future that you try to procure more concrete work terms. For instance, I am going to construe a contract was had here, but there could have been more concrete terms. For instance, length of time was missing. So we got the role, camera guy and director. We got the amount, $7,000 a month, which is handsome, healthy income, by the way. Next time, make sure you get a term
Yes.
amendment, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, something that gives even more clarity around how long you can reasonably expect to receive such income, okay? That said, the court is not going to find the contract defective because of one missing term. It will be in your interest to improve upon this in your future business dealings, especially, frankly, those with friends. There is a reason why all of our mamas and papas told us not to really do a lot of business with friends, and we're all seeing it play out here in this courtroom today.
Judge Eboni's verdict when equal justice returns. This is Equal Justice.
Mr. Vance, your continued reference to the friendship does not alleviate your responsibility to this man, as this court has adequately deemed that you promised him. You literally used the word promise in your communication with him. So I'm going to hold you accountable to that, sir. It's pretty staggering, but I do rule in favor of the plaintiff in the full amount asked. This man did the work. I asked you if he did the work. You told me he did do the work, Your Honor. You asked him, begged him, buy this enhanced equipment. You said, full stop, do it. He did it. You're going to pay him back for it, sir. That's it. End of story, period. Congratulations on your new life choices and your new trajectory. I wish you all the success. But you have some unsettled debt, and this court's going to hold you accountable. I rule in favor of the plaintiff for $20,000. That's my ruling.
All rise.
Judge Eboni has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $20,000.
I just think that you should follow through on your promises, especially if I'm putting so much on the line.
Well, clearly I'm not looking to work together in the future, but I do hope that you have the same kind of sense of wanting forgiveness that I would. And I think it's just sad that you had to take it here.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.